Hello and welcome to Quiz Class. I'm your host, Ellen, and today we have 100 questions on nostalgia. Let's take a look at our Quiz Class awards. You can let us know how you rank in the comments at the end, along with the answer to the bonus question. And we will begin right away. Who was unbranded Silly Putty originally marketed to in the late 1940s? Doctors, adults, or children? Adults. How long was the Schoolhouse Rock episodes in the 1970s? 3 minutes, 13 minutes, or 23 minutes? 3 minutes. What metal object was a niche collectible from the 1950s to the 1980s? Badges, lunchboxes, or street signs? Lunchboxes. Which collector's item doubled in market purchase price between 1977 and 1980? Coins, pens, or stamps? Stamps. Which singer had their first acting role in the 1959 film Girls Town? Frank Sinatra, Cliff Richard, or Paul Anka? Paul Anka. Which nation won the most gold and overall medals at the 1960 Rome Summer Olympic Games? The US, the UK, or the USSR? The USSR. What was the 1954 photovoltaic technology then used for? Solar cells, wind turbines, or crop rotation? Solar cells. What did apple butter mean in 1960s slang? Smooth skin, smooth landing, or smooth talk? Smooth talk. Which European art fair launched in 1970? TIFAF Maastricht, Art Basel, or Art Cologne? Art Basel. Where was the Pisboine beauty brand launched in 1946? France, Belgium, or Switzerland? Switzerland. Complete the 1949 Dr. Seuss book title, Bartholomew and the Oblek, Obliviate, or Odalisque? Oblek. Which audio company was founded in Massachusetts in 1964? Harman Kardon, Bose Corporation, or JBL? Bose Corporation. What color kryptonite mutations affected Superman in the 1950s? Blue, red, or yellow? Red. What was the first type of Cheetos launched in 1948? Ridged, curly, or crunchy? Crunchy. What type of home transformed 1940s and 1950s home design? Case study houses, model form houses, or ready-made houses? Case study houses. Which country didn't introduce a Dennis the Menace character in 1951? The UK, the US, or Canada? Canada. Which chocolate company launched the "Melts in your mouth, not in your hands" tagline in 1954? Hershey's, M&M's, or Lindt? M&M's. What was the biggest selling song of the 1950s? Bill Haley and his Comets' "Rock Around the Clock", Elvis Presley "Hound Dog", or Ritchie Valens' "La Bamba"? Rock Around the Clock. Who shot actress Lana Turner's mobster boyfriend in 1958? Lana's mother, Lana's sister, or Lana's daughter? Lana's daughter. What is the defining Albert Camus work of existentialist philosophy released in 1942? The Ghost, The Stranger, or The Leader? The Stranger. Who was the journalist parent of George Clooney? Rosemary Clooney, Nick Clooney, or Betty Clooney? Nick Clooney. What type of satellite was the Courier 1B launched in 1960? Solo transmitter defense satellite, active repeater communications satellite, or intermitter receiver meteorological satellite? Active repeater communications satellite. What 1967 film about a veterinarian who could talk to animals starred Rex Harrison? Dr. Dolittle, Dr. Dog, or Dr. Dorian? Dr. Dolittle. What did the world's population grow to in the 1950s? To 2 billion, to 3 billion, or to 4 billion? From 2.5 billion to 3 billion. What was the 1960 toy Etch-a-Sketch originally called? Swifty Ride, Neat Sketch, or Magic Screen? Magic Screen. Which U.S. president gave the Atoms for Peace speech in 1953? Ronald Reagan, Harry Truman, or Dwight D. Eisenhower? Dwight D. Eisenhower. Where was the Castle Bravo nuclear weapon tests in 1954? Bikini Atoll, Nautical Atoll, or Parasol Atoll? Bikini Atoll. What was the top grossing film of 1950? White Christmas, Cinderella, or Ben-Hur? Cinderella. Which invention in the late 1950s created a competition craze? Skateboards, slinky, or hula hoops? Hula hoops. What was the increase in violent crime in the US between 1960 and 1970? 106%, 116%, or 126%? 126%. In which decade was American Express the first company to issue embossed plastic cards? The 50s, the 60s, or the 70s? The 1950s. Which Disney character had a makeover in 1947? Donald Duck, Tinker Bell, or Mickey Mouse? Mickey Mouse. What box was a collectible from the 1950s through to the 1980s? Cereal box, matchbox, or shoebox? Cereal box. What invention led to rapid growth in the number of bowling alleys and lanes between the late 50s and early 60s? Automatic pin setter, digital screen, or mechanical gutters? Automatic pin setter. Which playwright was married to Marilyn Monroe from 1956 to 1961? Tom Stoppard, John Osborne, or Arthur Miller? Arthur Miller. Which NFL team won back-to-back championships in 1948 and 1949? The Philadelphia Eagles, Kansas City Chiefs, or Buffalo Bills? The Philadelphia Eagles. Which Intel chip was used for their 1971 microprocessor? The 4004, 5005, or 6006? The 4004 chip. What did armored cow mean in 1940 slang? Canned milk, spilt milk, or sour milk? Canned milk. Which 1954 event was billed as the first annual American Jazz Festival? Newport Jazz and Folk Festival, New Orleans Mardi Gras, or the Monterey International Pop Festival? Newport Jazz and Folk Festival. Which beauty company developed Kerastase in the 1960s? Revlon, Estee Lauder, or L'Oreal? L'Oreal. Complete the title of the 1955 Crockett-Johnson children's book, Harold and the Purple Hippo, Crayon, or Cloud? Crayon. Where wasn't Dr. Martens founded in 1954? The UK, Germany, or Spain? Spain. What Batman television show premiered in the late 1960s? Batman 66, Batman 56, or Batman 46? Batman 66. What were Frosted Flakes originally called in 1952? Sugar Frosted Flakes, Sweet Frosted Flakes, or Super Frosted Flakes? Sugar Frosted Flakes. Which Berlin Tower was a Cold War symbol in 1969? The TV Tower, Radio Tower, or Sonic Tower? The Berlin TV Tower. Which singer became a dominant film presence in the 1950s? Johnny Cash, Jerry Lee Lewis, or Elvis Presley? Elvis Presley. What dental care product featured in the first ever UK television commercial in 1955? Toothpaste, mouthwash, or dental floss? Toothpaste. Which artist released the 1966 song For What It's Worth? Buffalo Springfield, Creedence Clearwater Revival, or the Velvet Underground? Buffalo Springfield. Where was the first portable ambulance defibrillator installed in 1965? Belfast, Cardiff, or Glasgow? Belfast. Which film adaptation was Judy Garland fired from in 1967? The Graduate, Bonnie and Clyde, or Valley of the Dolls? Valley of the Dolls. What was Patricia Highsmith's 1952 novel Carol originally titled? The Weight of Salt, The Scent of Salt, or The Price of Salt? The Price of Salt. What was the leading Halloween costume brand from the late 1930s to the late 80s? Ben Cooper, Ben Hooper, or Ben Looper? Ben Cooper. Who was the butler in the Addams Family? Birch, Kirsch, or Lurch? Lurch. For which film did Julie Andrews win an Academy Award in the 1960s? Mary Poppins, Thoroughly Modern Millie, or The Sound of Music? Mary Poppins. Which programming language was created in 1960? Lisp, Rasp, or Cusp? Lisp. Who starred in the 1970 musical Applause? Jane Fonda, Audrey Hepburn, or Lauren Bacall? Lauren Bacall. What were the 1950s the golden age of? American freedom, American capitalism, or American industry? American capitalism. What was the chemically engineered substance Zectron later used for? Super ball, super stick, or super glue? Super ball. Which U.S. politician gave the Law Day address at the University of Georgia in 1961? Robert F. Kennedy, Ted Kennedy, or John F. Kennedy? Robert F. Kennedy. What was the Ranger 8 probe focused on in its first mission in 1965? The Moon, Mars, or Ganymede? The Moon. What type of political film mania took over in the 1960s? Spy, anarchy, or communist? Spy. What strips were collected from the weekend newspapers in the 50s and 60s? Coupons, tips, or comics? Comics. Charles Burke Elbrick, the U.S. ambassador to which country, was kidnapped in 1969? Mexico, Cuba, or Brazil? Brazil. In the early 1960s, which shoe brand was Nike originally a distributor for? Fila, Converse, or Onitsuka Tiger? Onitsuka Tiger. Which company introduced the Zorro television character in 1957? Disney, Paramount, or Nickelodeon? Disney. Where was Lyme disease first recognized in 1975? Connecticut, New York, or Rhode Island? Connecticut. Which parent company made G.I. Joe toys? Hasbro, Mattel, or Fun School? Hasbro. What is Robin's clandestine name in the 1966 Batman television series? Dick Grayson, Nick Mason, or Rick Layton? Dick Grayson. Which 1977 film's action figure was an in-demand collectible? Star Wars Luke Skywalker, Alien Ripley, or Star Trek the Motion Picture Spock? Star Wars Luke Skywalker. Which classic model was the biggest selling foreign-made car in the US in the 1960s? Volkswagen Beetle, Fiat Spider, or the Porsche 911? Porsche 911. What was boxer Sonny Liston's nickname? The big bear, the big wolf, or the big lion? The big bear. Where was the Century 21 exposition held in 1962? Seattle, Los Angeles, or Las Vegas? Seattle. What did 1947 holography technology lead to? 3D imaging, MRI, or keyhole surgery? 3D imaging. What did ginchi mean in 1950s slang? Attractive or appealing, forgettable or nondescript, or off-putting or ugly? Attractive or appealing. Where was the Kickapoo Creek Rock Festival held in 1970? Illinois, Idaho, or Indiana? Illinois. Which company launched in 1851, diversified into beauty in the 1960s? Kiehl's, Olay, or Nivea? Kiehl's. Complete this 1969 William Steig children's book title. Sylvester and the Magic, Seashell, Starfish, or Pebble? Sylvester and the Magic Pebble. What did the Denny's brand start as in 1953? Danny's Donuts, Danny's Bagels, or Danny's Muffins? Danny's Donuts. Which comic book character was introduced to fight the Incredible Hulk in the 1970s? Deadpool, Iron Man, or Wolverine? Wolverine. Which company invented fruit roll-ups in the mid-1970s? Betty Crocker, Nestle, or Kraft Heinz? Betty Crocker. What lighting began defining Las Vegas's skyline from the 1950s to the 1970s? Festoon, bunting, or neon? Neon. What ultimate dark film villain was introduced in 1977? Darth Maul, Darth Palpatine, or Darth Vader? Darth Vader. Which company introduced the Good campaign in the 1960s? Heinz, Continental, or Campbell's? Campbell's. What song was released by Jane Birkin and Sergei Gainsbourg in 1969? Je t'aime, j'adore, or j'aime? Je t'aime. Which late actor's remains were stolen from a cemetery in 1979? James Dean, 1978, excuse me. James Dean, Marlon Brando or Charlie Chaplin? Charlie Chaplin. Who wrote the 1961 novel Tropic of Cancer? Henry Miller, Henry James, or Henry Cowell? Henry Miller. Which was the first Godfather film Al Capone appeared in? The Godfather, the first one, Part 2, or Part 3? The Godfather, the original. In 1955, which company wasn't involved in the development of the first RL-1 domestic microwave oven? Raytheon, Tappan, or Kensington? Kensington. What branch of the U.S. military is focused on in the 1955 musical film Hit the Deck? The Navy, the Army, or the Air Force? The U.S. Navy. What did the 10-year Mission 66 U.S. government project focus on in the 1960s? National Park Service bear deterrence, the Visitors Service, or mining development? National Park Service Visitor Services. What colorful vinyl art stickers were launched in 1951? Colorways, color sticks, or color forms? Color forms. Which U.S. president gave the moral equivalent of war speech in 1977? Jimmy Carter, Richard Nixon, or Gerald Ford? Jimmy Carter. What was the snuffer invented in 1965 a predecessor of? Snowshoes, ski-doo, or the snowboard? The snowboard. Which writer-director adapted Anthony Burgess's 1962 novel A Clockwork Orange into film? Francis Ford Coppola, Martin Scorsese, or Stanley Kubrick? Stanley Kubrick. What was a portable news source starting in the 1950s? Pocket newspaper, extended telephone, or the transistor radio? Transistor radio. In which U.S. state was the 1974 Huntsville prison siege? Texas, Florida, or Nevada? Texas. Which juice company was acquired by Coca-Cola in 1960? Mr. Squeezy, Always Fresh, or Minute Maid? Minute Maid. Which character was considered to have saved Disney in 1950? Cinderella, Alice in Wonderland, or Bambi? Cinderella. Where was the last naturally occurring case of smallpox diagnosed and treated in 1975? Bangladesh, Malaysia, or the Philippines? Bangladesh. What was not a prominent color in the original game of Cootie Box? Blue, red, or yellow? Blue. And our bonus question, which 60s and 70s jean style gives you flair? Let us know the answer in the comments. And once again, let's take a look at our quiz class rewards. Let us know how you rank, along with the answer to the bonus question, of course. Thanks for playing this quiz. Don't forget to subscribe, and we will see you in our next one. Bye-bye.